Vaccination centre in Preston joins us now live. Fraser, good to have you with us and good afternoon to you. So, are we seeing people queuing up to get their jabs today?
Good afternoon. Well, it doesn't look as though there's a huge queue at the moment, but they have been doing reasonably good trade here in the centre of Preston today. They've got 800 people booked in for vaccinations. They've done about 400 of those already, so they are working through those pre-booked vaccinations and booster jabs, but there are walk-ins still available as well. As you can see, the queue behind me, pretty quiet at the moment, not too long a wait if you are planning to come down here and do a walk-in. And of course, it's areas like this where the push is very much needed. We can look at the figures of the percentage of people over 12s in this area in the most recent figures who've had their first vaccination. It's about 63%, about 56% have had their second vaccination, and around 26% have had their boosters. Now, if we compare those to the national figures, 63% first dose here, 90% nationally. It's 82% nationally for the second dose, 56% here, 54% nationally for the booster dose, and only around 26% here. Now, those figures not necessarily as bad as some other areas. I was in Bradford just before Christmas. The figures there much worse. Only 47%, about half the national average of people had been received their first booster dose there. So there are these pockets of areas where the take-up has been low. Clearly, the NHS are doing their best to make it as convenient and as easy as possible for people to come down to drop-in centres like this. We've seen pop-up centres in all manner of places, in Sikh temples, in mosques, at sports venues, race courses, even in a restaurant. A curry house in Bradford just before Christmas were offering booster doses and COVID vaccinations. So there is a real push now to get through this final stage of the vaccination process that the government are relying so heavily on, and of course that forms the basis of the decisions that are made in terms of restrictions. We've seen those extra restrictions come in other parts of the UK, not in England. We're waiting to hear the result of the Prime Minister's briefing this afternoon, bearing in mind the new figures and particularly the spread of the Omicron virus variant throughout the population and the levels of hospitalisations and serious hospitalisations that variant has caused. So the Prime Minister has said he's not expecting to bring in any new restrictions. A lot of people in the hospitality industry in particular are waiting with bated breath to hear about those potential restrictions, because clearly they'll need to do all their ordering by tomorrow at the latest in order to get stock and staff prepared for New Year's Eve if there are no restrictions, or to not order those in if there are going to be restrictions. So everyone waiting with bated breath, particularly in hospitality. In terms of the vaccination rates, 1.5 million doses have been made available by the NHS. There are 1.5 million appointments available up until the 3rd of January, and they are hoping, of course, that as many people as possible take them up and come into drop-in centres and pop-up vaccination centres like the one here in the centre of Preston.
Absolutely right, Fraser Moore. Thank you for that report.